Welcome to Storytime at the Roo Bus, a weekly podcast about the Bonnaroo Music and Arts Festival. I'm your host, Sharla.
And I'm Daniel, and we're back here on the back porch again tonight. It's a really nice mid-spring night out here in North Alabama.
Oh, it's gorgeous tonight.
Yeah, if you hear any dogs or crickets or Ricky clawing at the back door over here, that's what's going on. He's wanting out here with the party. We'll let him in here in just a moment. So, yeah, Charlotte, I was just looking up before we started recording, before I open up this tab, guess how many days it is until Bonnaroo?
42.
Did you look? It's 44.
Oh, I counted today, so.
Well, it's 42 if you show up early like crazy people like us, right?
Yeah, on Tuesday.
So things are getting really close. It doesn't feel like it because it's not quite May yet, but we do know that wristbands are shipping.
Yes.
So that's a big deal.
Yeah. People are starting to get their emails that say your order or whatever, yeah.
I think as of recording this on Monday, the 29th, nobody has actually received it yet. Or
I don't think so, no. Somebody would have,
We would have seen it plastered on Reddit or Loophole or something like that. But that will probably happen within the next week or so, I would guess. So if you want to not be spoiled and have a big surprise when your package comes in, I would kind of start to tune out of those places. It's inevitably going to happen. I hate to tell you. You would have to just turn the internet off for it not to happen. I don't have any idea of what to expect this year. Do you have any guesses about what kind of goodies may be in the package?
So I always wish for something useful. Useful items are the best, like cups, reusable cups. I like the really nice fanny pack. Not the one from last year, but the one from a few years ago. I think it was 2017, 18, where we got that teal one that was really nice.
So not the clear one.
No, not the clear one, but the teal one that we got that was really nice. That was really, really, really good.
Do we have those around?
Yes.
They're here somewhere.
And the lunchbox was really super cool.
Yeah, this countdown page that I pulled up to see how many days is left has a picture of it. I think it was 2013 or 14. I can't exactly remember, but I would vote that as the best giveaway that they ever sent everybody. I would vote my least favorite as the board game. I mean, I'm not trying to.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, pun not intended. But yeah, I didn't care for that. I feel like we played it once and got annoyed and never touched it again. The dice was cool.
The dice was super cool.
Yeah, you could use that to like kind of decide on where you want to go or whatever. But yeah, they've had better days. For
me, it would also be that cereal box that we got a few years ago.
Now, I will defend that year because Rufus came in that cereal box.
Oh, he did. I forgot.
Yeah, the box was kind of disposable, but Rufus was kind of the prize in the cereal. And that is probably one of the best little gifts ever.
Rufus is definitely probably up there with the lunchbox,
we have
would say.
2 or 3 of those,
The shoe fell off of one of mine.
I think a lot of people put their keychain through one of his holes.
If they would sell just that Rufus individually, I would buy them.
Well, we're due for that because he has a new look these days.
He does, yes. What if that's what we're getting?
He's a little bit more Picasso or Art Deco looking these days in his refreshed look. I would love that.
What if that's what we're getting this year?
I would really, really want that. That's the most ideal
That
scenario.
is so cool. That is so cool. What if that's what we got?
They wouldn't have to spend a lot of money on sending like an updated little Rufus figurine, I don't think.
And he's gotten like popular again because of his online profile or whatever.
His Twitter and Instagram and stuff.
People. Yeah, that'd be so cool. Like
he's out of control.
Rufus.
He is out of control. Can somebody come get your boy? Like, he just pops up every now and then and starts getting in everybody's replies.
He reminds me of the way that Blooper from the Braves replies.
I love Blooper so much. Yeah, we got to see him the other day. We went to a ball game. I'm going with a couple of the boys from Bonnaroo in July. It is our goal to get, like, a really messed up picture, like group picture with Blooper. I'm going to do that with Rufus, too. I think, talking about mascots, I love Rufus so much. I wish somebody could figure out a way to have a Rufus costume.
A Rufus costume.
Can you imagine if it were 2 a.m. and you know what's happening at that time of the night? We don't have to go into details. And you just ran into Rufus, just walking around.
I think it could be done because it's just, you'd have to stand up straight.
Yeah. But how do you account for the holes?
You put the holes on each side and then your head would go just in the middle. You wouldn't be able to move your arms.
Oh, man, I would flip out.
Think about it. Yeah. Think about it logistically.
If you were just walking from one stage to another and like Rufus just popped up and he's doing some kind of nonsense, he would get mobbed. It would be like if like Prince was alive and he just like walked through Bonnaroo. He would be that famous, I feel like.
You're comparing Rufus to Prince?
Yes. He is a prince. Rufus is a prince. All right, Charlotte, we have a lot to talk about this
We
week.
do, yes.
So we have a couple of things that's on the docket. We haven't been able to schedule it in time because people are busy and some plans are being finalized. So me and Charlotte wanted to do something that we had been intending on doing for a while. We kind of had it on the back burner. We're going to do a little bit of a totem-focused episode, and we're going to talk about traditions at Bonnaroo. So this is going to be for you mentors that have been signed up. You should have gotten your email. And it will be for mentees so they know all of these traditions. So mentors, if you've been connected already, I want you to make sure that your mentee listens to this. And hey, even if you didn't sign up for Totem this year, send this along to somebody that is coming for their first year. And me and Charlotte have put together a list, but it's by no means comprehensive. So there's probably going to be a thing or two that we have missed, but we've gone through a lot of our favorite traditions. These aren't tips. That will be a whole separate thing. We've done that before and we'll do it again. These aren't like, hey, you should do this or shouldn't do this. These are like, no, we're talking about the silly things that everybody comes across and does all long weekend at Bonnaroo. So we will get to that here in just a few moments. But there's a couple of other things I wanted to talk about first. We talked about the packages shipping, but I feel like there's a couple of other little tidbits for us to go through. Do you want to start with South Star since we're kind of on the ground here in Huntsville?
Sure.
So we talked about the lineup last week. I think we should kind of keep people filled in on how Huntsville is reacting. I know we have a couple of listeners and friends here in town in Madison County, but for a lot of people, Huntsville is kind of like this foreign thing, and it's something that they're going to experience for the first time.
Right, exactly.
When they come down to see Blink and Gwen Stefani and all that. How would you say that the city has reacted to it so far? Because you kind of keep a check on our Huntsville Reddit and different things, right?
Well, I think it's just the same as any new city would be when something like a brand new festival comes into town, when something that they're unfamiliar with comes into town.
Yeah. I'm going to put this as gently as possible. There's going to be a lot of people coming to this that have never done festivals before.
Right.
Not just, a big camping thing like Bonnaroo, but a city fest like this. We haven't had a big one like this since, we've mentioned this before, Big Spring Jam almost 20 years ago
Right.
now. So there's a lot of people who kind of don't know what to do. I saw a lot of comments from people saying, oh, I can't bring my chairs, stuff like that. So I personally feel that there's going to be more people coming from out of town that have done this kind of thing before.
I agree.
But I think those of us that are coming to South Star need to be ready for there being a lot of people that just get there and are like, what do?
What exactly? The what do? The what do? The chairs comment was one that I saw a lot. I saw a lot of, a family of 4 cannot afford this.
Oh, well,
so,
we've been talking on our Discord about how this
like
is
that.
pretty affordable compared to most other things like this.
It's very affordable compared to, festivals around the nation.
Well, let's say you're going to get up close for Blink 182 on Sunday night. A one-day ticket is like $120, $130, something in that ballpark. I can't remember exactly at the moment. You would easily pay like $200 plus to get in the pit for Blink at one of their arena shows.
I looked it up. To get in the pit, that would be like a $500 ticket. Like,
are you for real?
To get in their pit area, yeah. Oh, it would be hundreds of dollars.
I guess this is growing up. I didn't know it costed that much. That's insane. Holy crap. I remember us having this conversation about U2, 5 or more years ago when they played Roo. Me and you got in the pit for that show. It was incredible. And I realized that if I was going to have that same view at one of their arena shows, it would have been like $1,000 for me and you both. It's insane.
But like I said previously, I think that this is just when any new fancy thing comes to a new city or comes to a city that's never been there before.
Yeah.
I remember when Sloss Fest came to Birmingham, for example.
I miss Sloss.
Yes, that was such a good festival. I remember the first year that they ever had Sloss Fest. So just to give you an example.
Oh, yeah, I know where you're going with this.
To give you a very good example, we took Ricky the cat, or not the actual cat.
Not the cat. He would hate that.
We took our totem of Ricky the cat, our totem, and we were the only people there that had a totem. And people were literally coming up to us and asking to take photos with the totem because they had never seen a totem before, and were just their minds were just blown over a totem.
It was funny because the next year I started seeing a few more of them.
Oh, the next day I saw totems. It was just, yeah.
That's funny. I kind of have started to slowly fade out my Ricky the Cat tradition, but I guess I need to bring it back for South Star just to get people into the waters, I suppose. I'll do Ricky one night at Roo this year. Should I update it and do like the current Ricky? It's still Ricky the First. We're up to the third Ricky.
the First.
It has to be the first Ricky. What if I make a second one for Ricky the Third? He's looking at me right now. He knows what I'm talking about. I have to do it.
But I think that there'll be a lot of people coming from out of town.
Oh, yeah.
That will far, far, far overweigh that.
Yeah. We're going to do a whole other episode in the future about Huntsville picks. So places that we recommend for everybody to go eat. I was actually just talking with Corey from Bonnaroo about that a couple hours ago. My go-to recommendation, and I'm biased because Brooklyn works there, is Straight to L at Campus 805. I heard that some of the crew from The Office, the NBC show, went over there because we recommended it to them at the Huntsville Expo. But yeah, like I said, we're biased because Brooklyn's there. But anyways, we'll do a whole episode about that when we get closer to September, and we're talking about South Star. I did want to talk about one other thing before we go into the tradition. So again, we're recording this on Monday the 29th. And the Festive Owl had a post today that kind of made waves. And it's kind of in-depth, so I don't do this kind of thing very often on the podcast, but I'm going to read this whole thing all the way through because I feel like it's kind of insightful and important. So here it goes. This is what he said. Festival promoters are currently in a very precarious spot, and a huge reason for this, among many, is the lack of early ticket purchasers. Pre-sale and early ticket buyers have almost completely evaporated, which in the past has generated necessary funds to float production, artist costs, etc., until the day of the event. But now consumers are waiting later than ever to buy tickets, if at all, which means as a promoter, you either have to pray that ticket sales will pick up a month before or risk literally going bankrupt if you don't pull the plug. The safety net of early ticket sales has completely disappeared as costs have simultaneously skyrocketed. This is a big word, I almost couldn't get it out, disproportionately affects independent and small promoters as well, who simply don't have the cash to hang on. It is a significant reason we're seeing so many canceled events now. And maybe appropriately, there's a siren in the background as we're outside right now as I was reading this kind of important post. All right, so this made a lot of waves today because I feel like a lot of people jumped into the comments about this and had a lot of very, very, very valid points. And I feel like one of them that I see and I really feel for are young people, college age or a little over that, who just don't have the money for like the crazy expenses that a festival incurs these days.
Right.
We were just talking about how it's relatively cheap to get a South Star ticket, a little over $100 for one day. It's not a bad deal. To see all those acts that are playing on Sunday at South Star, that's a pretty good bargain. But if you're traveling like 4 hours away, you got to think about gas, maybe a hotel, food, all kind of things. And let's face it, like in a situation in an age where it's not the best economic situation for young people, I don't blame them for making tough choices about where they're spending their entertainment dollars in their budget, Did you have any thoughts as we've been talking about this today?
No, I agree with some of the comments on there. We're saying that it's a really oversaturated market nowadays because there's so many festivals now compared to where we were 10 years ago. And people are waiting to see, is another festival going to pop up that's closer to me that has, my favorite band on it that I can not spend as much money traveling, spend as much money in gas going to. So people are more precocious about where they spend their money. How they spend their money. They're more careful about how they spend their money, I should say.
I had kind of chimed in the comments myself, and I had talked about how, so many of these festivals cancel last minute. Some of these smaller regional ones, it's pretty clear what happens. They realize that they're going to lose money, so it's better for them to just pull the plug. I think when a lot of people see that kind of thing, they're like, well, I'm going to wait until a week or two out before I actually get tickets for this thing because realistically, you can always get them on the resale market or cash or trade or something like that. If you are buying pre-sale for something, especially one of these smaller ones, you are risking a lot because, the lineup could change. I mean, the Bonnaroo lineup has changed. There's been a couple of artists pull out and others plugged in. The schedule has changed. So let me use a metaphor, and this gets kind of geeky. There has been a movement with video games for people not to pre-order because you're pre-ordering something that may not release for another year or two. Heck, you talked to a guy that ordered a Cybertruck 5 years ago and just now got it or something like that. That was kind of ridiculous. I think the same mindset might be being applied to festivals. When you don't know if a smaller one is happening, or in a case like Bonnaroo where it just didn't happen for 2 years, people get a little gun shy. And, I've still heard stories of people who never got their refunds from 2020 and 2021. So I kind of understand. And my thought with this, again, I do some of my best thinking when I go running. I was running earlier today and I thought of this. I feel like festivals need to evolve a little bit. Mm-hmm. They have been using this same template for a really long time now, going through kind of like a calendar of pre-sales, then lineup announcements, then additional announcements. And the festival itself is kind of like, and I'm not talking about Bonnaroo, I'm talking about any of these major festivals. They've been in the same format for 20 years. I don't think they've really reinvented themselves in any way. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing that I can think of just in this moment right now that I felt like, okay, this is kind of revolutionary as a new thing at a festival. And I've talked about this before. The big In the Round stage at Coachella last year with Fred again, Fortet, and Skrillex. I looked at that and I was like, okay, this is something new. I hope more festivals do this. And I know we're going to be doing something along those lines, but not entirely that when Fred plays on Sunday night. But I haven't seen that replicated anywhere else. But as far as like how they sell tickets, how they promote this, Bonnaroo's doing just fine. I think Barry at the What Podcast was able to get some good numbers, and I can't remember the exact figure, but I know it was like, okay, they'll be happy with this. But I feel like personally, just from my perspective as an involved fan, I feel like they need to reinvent this whole template that they've been using for a long time now. But I've been rambling. What do you think?
No, I agree with you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't. We're in a different situation these days because we're older. I won't say the number, and we're established, and we don't have to think about that in the way that like college students or teenagers or people in their 20s have to think about. And I feel for them. I know the economics are tough. The current situation in the U.S. is not good for a lot of people, and it sucks. And I understand that festival budgets are a little different for them.
Right. I mean, one of the reasons we didn't start going until we were in our late 20s is this would have been our only vacation for the entire year. Probably. Oh, yeah. This would have been our only budget. And if a festival is your only one vacation, you're going to look at that and say, I'm going to go to the best festival where my favorite artists are going to be. And when there's hundreds of festivals to choose from, you may not always pick Bonnaroo, for example.
Well, I mean, say, for example, that somebody is up north. They might be more compelled to go to Electric Forest.
Right.
Or maybe somebody is in Louisiana that might be more compelled to go to Jazz Fest.
Right.
I think there was a time where people would be more than happy to travel cross country for Coachella or Bonnaroo. But I think that time has started to pass. Things are a little bit more regional now. And that's not to say people don't travel a long way. You know, we got people coming in from all over the place for Roo. I just don't know. I would love to see some statistics on that. I don't know if those people make up a majority. I think a lot of people are coming from less than a day's drive away to Roo these days.
They used to do
the Globe?
No, not the Globe. The survey, not the survey they send out afterwards, but the
census.
Census, thank you.
Does that still happen? I don't remember.
I don't know. I don't think they've had that in a couple of years.
I remember like a week or two after Roo, or maybe even a month afterwards, you would see the results of the census.
Yeah, but I haven't seen that in a while.
Eric gifted us the giant census sign from 2016. Oh, yeah. It's still sitting out here somewhere. Yeah. I should bring that, and we'll do our own census.
Yeah.
We'll have our own census with blackjack and hookers. And I'm sorry if you don't get that reference. I'm not trying to be crude. That was from Futurama. I'm sorry. Okay, Sharla, let's take a break and move on to our Patreon and our tradition talk.
Okay. Okay, Daniel, let's thank our Patreons.
Yes, we have been getting a lot of good things going with Totem. But let's just start out by listing our names. You want to do it or should I?
I'll do it.
Okay, here we go.
Zach and Jeremy, Amber, Andrea, JB, Sam, Austin, Madeline, James, Chelsea, aka Hygiene Queen, Ryan, Chris, Skylar, Dan, Ernst, Bill, Harris, Keith, Casey, Dave, Amanda, Aaron, Nick, Maddie, McFerg, Bruce, Kent, Randy, Eric and Ben, Evan, Jay, Chloe, and Sean.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you.
That is at patreon.com/Roobus, and every cent goes to Totem. We've been working a lot the past couple of weeks. I think all of our matching has gone out. It has gone out. And I know we have one more scholarship award to go through. I had hoped we would get it out, but hey, we're taking our time to do this right. So we will have it when it's ready. I was just talking with Corey from Bonnaroo today. We're getting a process going for our scholarship recipients so we can make sure that they're well taken care of. So everything's moving forward. Did you think this time last year that we would have this?
No, not at all. No.
Huge thanks to our board and volunteers who have made this happen. Anyway, that again is at patreon.com/Roobus. Thank you to everyone who has supported us and supported our crazy mission with Totem. Again, I've mentioned this before. This is a beta first year, so we're purposefully taking it slow, but I am very happy with how things have gone. And shout out to the Daily Frequency. They did an article on us.
Yeah, that was cool. That was super cool.
Yeah, we were able to promote Totem there as well. I always appreciate the opportunity to kind of tell everybody what we're doing with Totem. I don't want it about us. I want it about, what we're doing with this new nonprofit because like all of your favorite local bands have said, big things are coming very soon. Exactly. Anyways, Sharla. So, speaking of Totem, one of the big things is passing on all of these crazy Bonnaroo traditions. So, we're kind of going to go through a number of our favorites, right?
Yes.
So, these kind of go from the big ones to like the smaller ones that are kind of prevalent at all festivals. And these are in no order, and there's probably going to be some that we've missed, but me and Sharla sat down and made a list of some of our favorites. Do you want to start us?
Yes, so there's High Five Friday.
Everybody knows about that.
All right, so tell us what High Five Friday is, Daniel.
Well, I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory, right?
Well, if I was a newbie...
Oh, good point. So, if I was talking to my mentee, her name is Melissa, I would tell her on Friday, you're just supposed to go around and high-five everyone. You might shout out High Five Friday, but the nexus where that mostly happens is in the arch line. And we have it on good authority. They will be bringing back that snaking arch line this year.
Yes, so everyone keeps asking for that. And I'm like, y'all need to go back and listen to our podcast that we did with Corey and Brad from Bonnaroo.
Yeah, they did mention that they will be bringing that back. In fact, I have talked with them. They're figuring out a good way to make that possible.
The snake line. Yeah,
so you go zigzag back and forth. So you're going to walk past a lot of the same people. So you'll high-five them as you go through the line, as you go through security and the arch and everything. Don't let Rufus down. He wanted you to high five on Friday. So I remember him talking about that.
I feel like this next one, Daniel, is one of your favorites.
What? The Bismarcky Just a Friend song?
Yes.
Oh, let's pause because I'm just going to edit in a snippet of it. So admittedly, this is a very silly tradition. Everybody just sings that song together. I don't know why it is. I don't know how it started. It's the alpha and omega. It always was and always will be. Inevitably, you're going to get in a big crowd and somebody will start shouting that and just sing along. There's no reason not to.
So how did that start? Do we know?
Well, like I said, I have no idea. I feel like it started in the early days, like in the first 5 or so years of Roo. There's probably one guy that just thought it was a good idea to start singing that and everybody went along. And from that point on, it just continued and continued. And I feel like it started to slowly die out the past couple of years, especially after COVID, when we started getting a somewhat new crowd. But I refuse to let it. So everybody, please, this Roo in 24, I want to hear that really loudly when you're going through a line or when you're going from one show to another late at night. Charlotte's literally Googling it to see if she can find something about it.
Well, the only reason I ask is because I've actually heard it as a sing-along on a couple of other things, not just Bonnaroo, but mostly at Bonnaroo.
Yeah.
Like 95% at Bonnaroo.
Maybe it's not exclusively a Bonnaroo tradition, but every time I hear that damn song, I think of Roo. You can't not.
Well, yeah, clearly.
All right, Charlotte, let's talk about another one. This is some friends of ours with the parachute people.
Okay, so in 2014, it was their very first year at Bonnaroo, and it was called the Roo Shoot at the time. And it is one of those giant parachutes that you see in elementary schools where everyone takes a little piece of it and pulls it across a lawn and you can wave it up and down and people
stretch it out, bounce it,
run in and out from under it. And then it eventually transformed into a nonprofit called Parachute People.
Yeah, so similar to Totem, it's a nonprofit that started from Bonnaroo. And we love them to death because they have a mission of promoting positive mental health. Mm-hmm. And they have used the parachute as a metaphor for that. And they always plan some big shenanigans at Roo every year. I don't want to spoil it because it's their story to tell, but I've heard tell of something crazy happening this year. More to come on that, I suppose. But if you're new, you got to go do that. That's a rite of passage if you're at Bonnaroo. They have like a whole program that they'll go through, usually at a big show, pretty much every day, I think. And I've heard that they're going to have a lineup one again this year. That
Yes,
they'll have
and
at
you'll
night.
actually find them. They usually have a spot over in Planet Roo in the nonprofit area, but you'll see the actual parachute out and about in the Watt field usually. Sometimes you'll see it, just in the random field in the inside Centraroo.
My jet's here, by the
So
way.
definitely go check it out if you see it.
Yeah, I think they should have some things on the programming schedule. At least they have in the past couple of years. So go pay them a visit. Tell Ron that we said hello. It's always a good time. All right, this next one I'll take because Corey mentioned this on our interview with him and Brad back after the lineup was announced. So this is a little bit of an old school tradition, but he told this story, and you can go back and listen to it, about how you would just, shout Bonnaroo, and then you would just hear it in waves throughout the campgrounds.
Yes. And you rarely ever hear that anymore.
I remember hearing it somewhat, some years ago, probably pre-COVID, I suppose. But again, it's one of these that has started to go away, and it shouldn't.
Right.
It needs to stay around. So if you randomly hear somebody shout that in the camps, you have to return it.
Yes.
It's like that megaphone game or a game of telephone. It's just going to go in waves throughout the whole place. So please take part in that this year. And let me go ahead and take this other one because it's kind of similar to this. So this is one that's maybe not specifically Bonnaroo.
Oh, this is definitely not specific.
Yeah, but it definitely happens at Bonnaroo.
Yeah.
This is another thing where you just hear somebody shout this out in the camps. I'm going to use coded language with this, but the olds will know what I'm talking about.
The olds.
Yeah, or the veterans, let's put it that way politely. When you hear somebody shout, here, I'm going to go off mic for this a little bit. Hoo-dee-hoo! Is that how it goes?
That's it.
That, all right, means that you need to put anything away because there's somebody coming that probably shouldn't see those things that you're putting it away. Can I safely put it that way?
That's when the popo is there.
That's when okay, thank you. That's when if the popo's coming, you will hear one of the veterans shout something like "hoo-dee-hoo," and you have to.
It's from an Outcast song.
Oh yeah, but anyways, you gotta pass that along. So you gotta be the one. If you see the popo coming, or if you hear the hooty-hoo, you gotta pass the hooty-hoo on. That's the way that you warn a brother. All right, take the next one, Sharla. This is one that we have to also use coded language for.
What do you don't have to use coded language for that.
Well, tell us about it.
There's bees on the left side of the Watt field.
Yeah, look.
Don't go to the left side of the Watt field unless you want to get stung.
Let me tell you something. You probably have seen that picture of the old arch being burned down.
It was full of bees.
It was full of all kind of terrible bugs. And this is real, actually.
It was wasp.
Yeah, it was wasps or something like that. And
This
they
whole
had to
thing
burn
is
it down because it was awful. And there was no coming back. So that's why we got the squarch that one year. And why we have the fancy new light up arch now. Because it was full of wasps and bees. And they are known to be over there on that far side of the what stage. So you should steer clear and not go over there. Unless you really know what you're doing.
Yeah.
All right. You want to take this
You
next
have to
one?
have special supplies, like a bee suit and stuff,
Oh,
if you
yeah.
go over there.
That would be funny if you saw somebody go over there with like a whole beekeeper suit. It's like, I'm good, man. I'm just here to watch the show. All right. Should we take this next one together?
Yeah.
This one's kind of tough. You will be walking around and you will see F. Kanye written.
Let me take
on
this
it.
one.
Okay.
Let me just take this one. So you're going to walk around and you'll see it on the porta potties. You'll see it on the walls at Bonnaroo. You're going to see it everywhere at Bonnaroo. And if you're new, you may not know what this means, but you're going to see "Fuck Kanye" wrote everywhere. So this is in reference to, what was it, 2008, I guess?
2 times where he made a scene, really. 2008
Yeah,
and then
2008 and then 14, I
Yeah.
guess. But 2008, Kanye was supposed to play it something like midnight or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. And long story short, he didn't go on until like the
5?
sun was coming up.
Yeah.
And he had all these special lights and stuff his show was supposed to have.
And it didn't even light up.
And you couldn't even see him because the sun was literally coming up when his show started going on. Because apparently he was, doing his usual Kanye stuff and pitching a fit and everything else. And there's a whole story about it on Reddit if you look it up.
Yeah. He made a similar scene years later, not as bad, but he was still being an idiot.
Yeah, so in 2014 he played again, and he had this whole rant about
Where the press
where
at?
the press at, and something else about the
I don't even
porta
remember what
potties.
he was trying to say.
I don't know, but you'll see F. Kanye all over Bonnaroo.
There was some people that had signs that said "Forgive Kanye" for a little bit, but then after all of his terrible nonsense the past 2 years, I think that appropriately went away. But anyways, that's why you're going to see that. And I think we were very positive at Bonnaroo, but he earned that. Okay, the next one is one that I will be honest, I am not super familiar with, but this is a really old tradition dating back to the early days in 2002. You will still see this written on signs. You'll hear some people yell it. Butt scratcher?
I don't know what that is.
It's some stupid old, well, not stupid, a beloved old inside
Nothing
joke.
Is stupid.
Well, lovingly stupid. I still don't fully know.
I don't know.
I feel like we need somebody that went in the, ye olden days 20 plus years ago to fully explain this one. But I see it every year. I'll see it written on the wall. I'll randomly hear somebody yell it. I don't fully know. So please let us know if you know the whole story of butt scratcher.
Huh.
I don't know. We'll find out one of these days.
Okay, I'm going to take this next one.
Take the next one.
Shakedown Street.
So this isn't specifically Roo, but we have a pretty famous one.
Okay, so Shakedown Street comes from like jam bands back in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, basically the Dead.
Yeah, they would set up little merchandise, kind of like a little flea market around before the concert and would sell all their wares. Like T-shirts, pins, et cetera, and so forth. Would just sell everything.
A lot of et cetera and so forth.
Yeah, a lot of et cetera and so forth. So people started doing that back in the olden days at Bonnaroo. They would set up Shakedown Street. Now, here is where it gets interesting, my friends.
What?
Here's where it gets interesting about Bonnaroo. There is a big controversy. Well, not really a controversy, but you'll see people with very broad explanations about where Shakedown Street is at Bonnaroo.
Bushy Branch Road.
Thank you. That is, in my opinion, Shakedown Street is on Bushy Branch Road. But I've seen a lot of people say, oh, it's in Pod 3 or it's in Plaza 3, whatever.
I don't know about that.
I don't think that's correct because a traditional Shakedown Street, isn't it not in the venue?
Well, it varies from place to place. In a lot of places, like we've talked about this before, the Orion here in Huntsville has kind of had like an authorized Shakedown Street in the parking lot.
Yeah, but isn't a traditional Shakedown Street? Isn't it unauthorized?
Basically, yeah. So I think this is just my opinion. Other people are going to have theirs, and that's totally cool. I think there's kind of like two different Shakedown Streets these days. There's the OG that's on Bushy Branch Road.
That would be the OG Shakedown.
So for most people, that's a fair walk. You got to walk all the way back to the road, and you can walk over there, and you can buy like snacks and glassware, if you catch my drift. But also that dirt road that goes from Bushy Branch Road all the way up to the Arch, there's a lot of stuff lined up on that too. So people are selling like pashminas and random things, and there's a lot of food vendors on that.
But those are actual Bonnaroo vendors.
Yeah. They're authorized. They have paid to be there.
Right.
But it's Shakedown Street type of stuff.
Yeah.
It's just not like the olden grilled cheese and
it's not the dollar grilled cheese guy.
Well, to be fair, you don't see that anywhere anymore. How much did we pay for stuff when we went to Shakedown Street at Dead and Company last summer? It wasn't cheap. But I was like, it's a pleasure to do business with a local businessman. I didn't care. I was just happy to be there, man. But yeah, make a point if you can to walk out there to the Bushy Branch Road Shakedown Street. You'll see some weird stuff. And especially if you come in early on Tuesday or Wednesday, they have kept the tradition going of having wook bands and drum circles and all kind of weird things that you would see in olden Bonnaroos and, all these wook festivals. So pay them a visit. It's fun. Let's go to the next one.
Trading candy/toys.
Yeah, well, that's what I wrote. You know what I mean.
Oh, you meant to talk about it. Okay.
Yeah.
So candy is actually, for anyone who doesn't know, who may be new to the festival circuit.
Well, I feel like Taylor Swift's fandom has repopularized it, and that's okay.
Candy is actually little bracelets that you wear that you make with the beads and you spell out things. And I actually did not know anything about candy until I started going to festivals, until I was a few years into festivals.
Yeah.
Actually. And so a lot of our group will make candy and trade it out and stuff like that. And they live by, the plur, peace, love, unity, respect, and they'll trade them out like that. So a lot of people will bring that to trade. And in addition to that, they will also bring little gifts to trade, like little toy gifts to trade, and not even to trade really, just to give out to other people.
Wait till you see Sharla's for this year. It's amazing. She has hundreds and hundreds.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Mine is always the little plastic army spacemen. I love giving those out. I'll buy a big vat of it for $20. And I meant to do that for Shaky Knees this coming week.
Well,
Can I get it off your Amazon Prime and get it in time?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, anyways.
Well, what I'm bringing is handmade, so very excited.
I have been watching her work an hour a night, basically, on these for like the past month already.
I just bought 100 more to
Did
make.
you
Yes.
really? Oh my God. Okay, after we get done recording this, I have to order my spaceman for Shaky Knees. But yes, and let's shout out JB, the Candy King. He's already been making his.
The Candy King.
He is the Candy King. But yeah, come see him at our camp. He's got a million of those things. Come trade with him. He loves trading.
Now, here is a tradition that a lot of
trading
people
Pokemon.
don't know. And if you bring one of these and you don't know about this tradition, you might get upset. And I
don't know where she's
understand
going
why.
with this.
Understand why. The pirate flags.
Oh, yeah. Now, this is an old one, and this is an easy to understand one. So you see everybody out in the camps hanging flags on their, easy ups and different things, maybe the RVs or whatever. And almost virtually all the time, nobody's going to mess with that. Everybody respects one another at Bonnaroo. They're not going to steal your tapestries or flags, except if you have a pirate flag. It will get stolen. It is a festival tradition for those to get stolen and be put in weird places. I specifically remember one year, but I don't specifically remember which year. One of the pirate flags ended up at the very top of the what stage, like on top of the roof.
Oh.
One of the techs put it up there. I guess they were like, let's watch one of these wooks steal this one, But that tradition still goes. So if you bring, the Jolly Roger, the black and white skull, somebody will steal it. I can guarantee you. And honestly, it's kind of a good tradition. So if you steal it, that's not the biggest thing. Just put it somewhere cool.
It is all in good fun. And just don't bring one that you want to, that you don't want to lose.
Now, if you got another one you don't care about losing, or if you buy one specifically for that purpose, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, it's going to happen.
Don't bring your family heirloom Jolly Roger pirate flag.
This has been in my family for 300 years. I'm going to just sit in
My
my pirate.
grandpa went to war with this.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the last two. So one of the big ones that's everywhere at every festival these days, well, almost everyone, is the totems. The namesake of our nonprofit. This can be controversial sometimes. Some people don't care for them because it gets in their way at a show. You don't want like a SpongeBob meme right in your face when you're trying to watch all the crazy visuals at Pretty Lights. I get it. I love totems. I think they're amazing. I think they are great art. I think they have a lot of ingenuity in it. I love seeing the engineering when people come up with different ways of lighting them up, or the funny jokes, or whatever it may be. I love it so much. I think it gives Bonnaroo a lot of character. But I also see what people are saying, where they don't want a million of them in their way. So I think kind of, the polite thing to do is, if you are in front of the sound booth, keep it down most of the time. Be polite. It is cool to pop it up during a really good part of a song, or between songs, whatever, just a little bit. Just, maybe if your friends need to find you, if you just want to see where you were on a video later or something like that, just for a quick moment, I think that's okay. But generally speaking, if you're in front of the sound booth, keep it down most of the time so it doesn't get in anybody else's way.
And also, you don't want to make your totem too large.
They can be too big, yeah.
I've seen some giant totems, especially giant totems of people's heads that it's just like their friend that couldn't come, I guess.
Well, that's cute.
I mean, that's cute to them, but
nobody else knows that guy.
Nobody else knows that guy.
Yeah. But yes, I am a huge proponent of totems. If you're thinking about making one, I think you totally should. Just have some basic etiquette about it.
What's your favorite totem that you've ever seen?
Oh, man. I think I've mentioned this before, but my favorite one is probably the basketball goal.
Oh, that was pretty good.
Yeah, because it wasn't just a sign. It was something that everybody could play with.
Interactive,
so,
yeah.
Basically somebody put a toy basketball goal at the top of a big pole, and they would bring some little squishy basketballs so people could shoot it before a show. And you'd hear everybody like, if they made it or whatever. I just think that's the coolest thing.
So my favorite is still, it was a group, and they split off. And one part of the group had Hank Hill, and the other part had Peggy Hill.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. What was there one year that was Homer and Marge, or am I dreaming that up?
No, you dreamed that.
Oh boy. And lastly, I think the most important thing that is pretty specifically Bonnaroo is, listen, you're going to a place where everybody is instantly best friends. So when you're waiting in line for a show, or for getting something to eat, or going through security, talk to the person in front of you, the person behind you. Ask them where they're from, what show they're excited for, any crazy stories about things that's happened to them while they've been at Bonnaroo. Get their name, trade Instagrams, Snapchats, whatever it is. You're going to meet that person for like 10 minutes, but then you're going to be in touch with them for basically forever.
Yeah. Do you know how many people that we know now because of Bonnaroo?
I know, because of that kind of thing. There's a really good meme that somebody made. It was like Jerry and Kramer from Seinfeld. And he was like, "Oh, we met like 12 years ago at a festival for 5 minutes. I named my chicken after you."
Yes.
I love that. That is pretty true. It really does happen like that.
Yes.
So more than anything else, be best friends with literally everybody that you meet. You're going to make connections with people that will last a lifetime. And I'm really not exaggerating about that. That is the best thing about Bonnaroo. So newbies, that is your goal. Make as many friends as possible. Trade contact information. You're going to have friends in other towns. So if you have to go somewhere for work or you're traveling with family, whatever it is, you're going to know another Bonnaroovian in that town.
Right.
I travel all over the country for my job these days, and I'm so blessed and lucky that most of the time I have a Roovian to go have a drink with or go do something with. It is the best thing in the world.
Right, exactly. I completely agree. And a lot of people will say, well, how can I meet friends before the festival so that I can hang out with them when I get there, et cetera, and so forth. My best advice for that would be to get involved in the online Roo community now. Get on Twitter. You can follow the Roo Bus, follow us, and just get involved in that conversation on there. Get involved in the conversation that's happening about Bonnaroo on Twitter. I mean, just, get involved and get involved in the Bonnaroo Discords that are out there, the Festiverse Discord, the Roo Bus Discord. Get involved in the Reddit conversations that are happening. So just be involved in that online community, and you're going to start, to meet people that way. And it's just such a wonderful Roo community that we have out there.
You'll start recognizing a lot of the same usernames or real names or whatever. Like we were joking last week about Cocaine Jesus, or whatever. That's one guy that's pretty active, for example, or whatever. But yeah, Sharla's right. Just, get involved beforehand. And if you're listening to this, you already are. Maybe you were passed this by somebody that's been a number of times and you're coming for your first time. And if that's the case, we are so glad to have you. We love you. That sounds weird now, but once you're there, you'll understand. We all love you. We're so happy you're there.
Right, exactly.
Sharla, are there any traditions that we forgot? There probably are.
Oh, I'm sure there's 100 traditions that we forgot that we left off.
Some of the big ones, some of our favorites.
So if there are traditions that you can think of, let us know.
Yeah. So pass these on, whether or not you officially signed up as a totem mentor or not this year. Pass it on to someone younger or someone that's coming for their first time. These are really important. I feel like some of these weird, goofy things give Bonnaroo its character and set it apart from all of these other festivals. Sometimes they can be pretty cookie cutter, but Bonnaroo has a soul all of its own, and it's up to us to keep these traditions going so that it keeps that soul, basically. Mm-hmm. And, it was tricky after COVID when we were away for 2 years. Kind of a different crowd came in, but I think most of these have lived on. It's up to us to keep them going, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So do your part. Pass these traditions on. Take part in them. Shout, and for Corey's sake, shout Bonnaroo when you hear it out in the camps. He really wants to bring that one back. And, Warner Brother out. Shout hootie hoo if you need to. Stuff like that.
But most importantly, you know what you can do?
What?
Get out there and radiate across the city.
Oh, she stole my line. All right. See you guys next week.
Bye.